On March 4th, 1841, William Henry Harrison gave the longest inaugural address in U.S. history. He did it in the freezing cold without a coat. And exactly 1 month later, he was dead. It's the shortest presidency the nation has ever known. So you'd think his impact would be basically zero, right? Just a historical footnote. Well, that's where this story gets really interesting. So let's just dive right in, because this is the big mystery we're unpacking today. How could 31 days in office possibly be enough time to do anything, let alone alter the entire financial trajectory of a nation and really the world? I mean, it sounds impossible, but the answer isn't in what he finished, it's in what he started. Just look at those dates, 31 days. To put that into perspective, most new presidents spend more time than that just picking out furniture for the Oval Office. Yet, this incredibly brief, fleeting moment in the White House acted as a crucial hinge point in American history. And to understand why, we first need to see the absolute mess the country was in at the time. Okay, so in 1841, the United States was not a superpower, not even close. It was a fragile, developing nation that was teetering right on the edge of economic collapse. You know, all that optimism from the revolution had totally given way to this deep financial dread, and the world was watching, basically wondering if this whole American experiment was about to go bust. The crisis had a name, the Panic of 1837. And this number tells a terrifying story. A staggering 40% of all American banks were just wiped out, gone. Can you imagine nearly half of all banks vanishing today? Credit evaporated overnight. Businesses failed. The entire financial system was paralyzed. And there was no Federal Reserve to come in and stop the bleeding. And this wasn't just an American problem. The crisis went global. Back in the 1840s, $200 million was an almost unimaginable amount of money, and that's how much U.S. debt was held just by British investors. So when American states started to default on their loans, international creditors, they panicked. They were ready to pull all their money out for good, which would have plunged the U.S. into an even deeper, darker depression. And the human cost? Oh, it was devastating. At the height of this depression, the unemployment rate hit an estimated 25%. Think about that. 1 in every 4 people was out of work. Prices crashed, wages vanished, and families were losing their farms and their homes. The nation wasn't just in a recession, it was in a fight for its very survival. And this was the crisis that William Henry Harrison was elected to solve. Now, Harrison wasn't just some popular war hero. He was the chosen champion of the Whig Party. And the Whigs, well, the Whigs had a plan. They had this bold economic vision that they believed could pull the nation back from the brink and set it on a completely new course. They called it the American system. And this wasn't just a handful of policies, it was a complete economic philosophy. The whole goal was to use the power of the federal government to build a stable, modern, and connected national economy, one that could actually compete on the world stage. So the system rested on 3 core pillars. First, and this was the big one, resurrecting a national bank to control the money supply and restore trust. Second, protective tariffs to help American industries get on their feet without being crushed by foreign competition. And third, federal money for infrastructure. You know, the roads and canals needed to connect the country and supercharge commerce. The key point here is this. Harrison's election signaled to the entire world that this plan was finally about to happen. And he did not waste a second. Even before taking any formal action, Harrison was already sending signals. This quote, which was a private assurance he gave to a British diplomat, was exactly what nervous global markets needed to hear. It was a promise. The chaos is over, responsibility is back. And guess what? U.S. bond prices in London started to climb. Investor confidence started to return. The mere fact that he was president had begun to calm the storm. So everything was set. The plan was ready, the markets were hopeful, and the new president was in place. And then the unthinkable happened. The man who was supposed to save the economy was gone in a flash. The news of his death sent shockwaves across the globe. Seriously. Investors who had just breathed this huge sigh of relief were now terrified. Was the country going to slide back into the anti-bank, anti-creditor policies of the past? Was the American system going to die with its champion? It really seemed like the entire recovery was about to collapse before it even began. But here's the twist. This is the core of the story. Harrison the man was gone, but his administration, it was still there.
He had spent his very brief time in office assembling an absolute dream team of Whig economic thinkers. You have Daniel Webster, the intellectual giant, Thomas Ewing, a fierce supporter of a national bank. These weren't just politicians, they were the architects of the American system, and Harrison had put them all in the room where it happens. And crucially, they all stayed in office after he died, at least for a while.
So what the world feared was this complete chaotic reversal. But the reality? It was very different. Harrison had created so much momentum in just 1 month that it couldn't be stopped that easily. The cabinet he built kept drafting the legislation. The debate he started kept raging in Congress. He had turned the massive ship of state, and even his own death couldn't immediately turn it back. And here is the proof. He wasn't just sitting around making speeches. In just a matter of weeks, he told his cabinet to draft the bank bill. He started cleaning house at the Treasury. He made those critical promises to foreign diplomats. And, most importantly, on March 17th, he called a special session of Congress specifically to tackle the economic crisis. He set the agenda. He created the vehicle for change. His presidency wasn't a full chapter. It was the single sentence that started a new one. So why does this brief, dramatic, almost forgotten moment in 1841 matter to us today? Because the direction Harrison set, the debate he forced, and the vision he championed, all of it helped lay the groundwork for the economic powerhouse the United States would eventually become. The contrast is just stark. In the 1840s, the U.S. economy was a mire player, fragile and totally dependent on foreign money. Today, it accounts for over a fifth of the entire world's economic output. That journey from a fragile state to a superpower was never guaranteed. It was built on key decisions made at critical moments, and 1841 was one of them. And this, right here, is the ultimate result. Today, the US dollar is the undisputed king of global finance. It's used in 88% of all foreign exchange transactions. This kind of dominance is built on a foundation of trust and stability that was nearly shattered back in the 1830s. The fight to restore that credibility, which was sparked by Harrison's election, was a critical first step on the path to this incredible global influence. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, William Henry Harrison's presidency really teaches us that history can turn on a dime. His 31 days in office weren't about the laws he passed because he didn't pass any. It was about the direction he set. He was the catalyst, the spark that forced a national reckoning over the country's financial future and helped steer it toward the stable, powerful system we know today. It really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What other pivotal moments, maybe hidden in plain sight, have completely altered the course of history? What other 31-day periods have changed everything without us even realizing it? That's definitely something worth thinking about.